it is always our choice to suffer or not. Always our choice. And even though we are aware of that, we just go into suffering. Just keep going into suffering. And when people asked me in the past, like, you have a really good story, you don't suffer, right? Like, you're so lucky and all that stuff. And if I looked at my life, like, from the top only, I'd say, I have a really good life. And I think most people say, I have a really good life and I don't really suffer. But if we look at one day, and we look at every single time that we've been stressed out, worried, pissed off, sad, within that 24-hour period, whenever we're awake, that's enough to tell us that there is suffering. Because suffering we see as just that extreme suffering that people are experiencing sometimes. But suffering is anything that is not that peacefulness that we want to have. And again, it's not that there are no ups and downs, and I'm gonna ups and downs, because it's not that there are moments that are, it's like the weather. There are moments in which it's sunny and there are moments in which it's rainy. But one is not better than the other one, right? The sun is not saying, what the hell? There's a cloud in front of me. Now I can't shine. The sun is not saying that. See what I mean? Like, it's just a cloud. And everything is passing. There's no sun 24/7 for 365 days of the year. See? Everything is always changing. But what we tell ourselves about what is happening is what makes it not just what is happening, but then the pain that comes with it. And that's what I call suffering. That's what most people in this realm that we are in call suffering. Because it's not the pain of something happening. You break up with somebody, or something painful is happening at home, or you have a fight with your significant other, or whatever. And then there's pain, right? There's pain immediately about it. But then what we tell ourselves about what is happening is what is called suffering. And suffering is that bringing something that has passed already, bringing it into right now, making it real, physically real, right? That emotion that comes with it and that pain that comes with it. And then when we make it real, then we carry it. And we're suffering for something that is not happening right now. One of the things that I was talking to somebody over the weekend is a clue on, and maybe today would be the clue day, is a clue on things to do when we are lost in suffering. Because when we're lost in suffering, it's always, always, always related to lack of something. Lack of something. Even worrying about something is lack of something. So let's say that we're worried about lack of love, the common theme of she loves me, or he loves me, or she loves me, or he loves me not, right? Is the normal thing that happens all the time. Will I ever be loved? Will I ever find that love that lasts forever and is, right? So love, lack of love is one. Lack of abundance, right? There's not enough. There's not enough for me, and there's not enough for everybody. Lack of peacefulness, lack of acceptance, lack of, you name it, lack of anything, see? So whenever we are suffering is because we are in lack of something. We are acting from lack. So for example, when somebody dies, the lack that we feel is the lack for that person, but it's not because of that person necessarily, it's because what we're losing that has not occurred. Does this make sense? It's not, we don't miss this person today and the past. Of course, the past is the past. So it's just memories. So they were memories the moment that person died, and they will continue to be memories even after that person is dead. So nothing has changed with the past. It's just memories. the moment the person dies is the moment the person dies. That's when the painful moment occurs, right? But then part of the grief that we have about anything painful is all the could have happened. See? Does this make sense? It's all the things that never happened, all the things that should have happened and never happened. It's all the stories, because they're not real. It's all the stories. And same thing happens with a breakup. It's not that we don't lose anything, but the future that we never had, that we planned, all these different aspects of futures that we never had. Or we lose a job. Losing a job, see, is at this moment. That's the pain of the job. I gotta get on my 2 feet and start looking for a job, right? I gotta pay my bills, whatever. But what we let go of is the story. What's the story with the job?
I need it.
Why?
I need it to pay my bills.
Exactly. But the job could be one day, could be in one day it can't. So what's the story that we have with a job?
I have to have a job.
We won't have enough.
There's not enough, right? And what am I losing is my sense of security.
I can't pay my
Is the sense of security. Is if I don't have a job, I lose my sense of security. I don't, how am I going to pay the bills? But the fact is every morning, I may or may not have a job. See? Yet, we don't like that uncertainty of, I don't have a job. See what I mean? So we're losing something that is not at this moment. So whenever we are in suffering, anything that is causing sadness, pissed offness, anything that doesn't feel emotionally good, and we're going to stick today with emotional, maybe. So anything that doesn't feel emotional, I don't know what we're going to do, so I'm going to say it like that. Everything that doesn't feel good emotionally, if we come back to this moment, whatever that is, if we come back to this moment, is anything wrong? Is anything missing at this moment? So think about the stuff that you've been worrying today or this week about. Whatever it is. Everybody has something that they're worrying about. Whatever that is. Somebody or job or money or love or whatever it is. Or school, whatever it is. And think at this moment, is there anything missing? At this moment, is there anything wrong at this moment? Is there anything lacking at this moment? At this moment. And the answer is always no. Yeah. The answer is always no. Always. Because anything that we think is missing is from the future. That's it. Everything that we think is missing is from a future that is not occurring. But if we come back and say, is there anything missing at this moment here? Is there anything missing within me? The answer is always no. So I invite you for the next 1 day, 2 days, the whole week, just to do it. Just to do it. That's it. Every single time something doesn't feel good, anything doesn't feel good, anything. Come back to, is there anything missing at this moment? Is there anything wrong at this moment? Is there anything wrong at this moment? And the answer is always no. Always no. Yeah. And we're talking about suffering, right? That worrying, that sadness, that depression, that whatever we want to call it. We're not talking about, you fall down and your knee's hurting. And if you go back and say, is there something missing? Well, not really, but my knee hurts. See the difference? But if we start thinking about the story that comes with it, so you go to the ER, your knee's hurting, you go to the ER, and that by the time you are in the ER, you're already involved in the story. Whatever the story is. I won't be able to walk, how am I going to go to so-and-so's wedding, whatever it is, how am I going to play sports, whatever it is. I have a game, I have a party. Whatever the story is, That's the suffering that I'm talking about. See, it's not the immediate pain at the moment. It's the suffering that is coming later on. Does this make sense? Any questions? Does it make sense?
You said, well, what if somebody's significant other left them, and you said, what's missing? And the person walked out, so that would be something's missing.
But
You said nothing's wrong, but something would be wrong.
not really. So what is missing when somebody leaves? Let's say we have a breakup and the other person leaves me. If I look inside and go, is there anything missing right now?
Yeah, the person.
Right here? No, it's not. Because it's never missing. You never had that person. That person was next to you, but you never had the person. So you never miss a person. There's nothing lacking within you. See? You gotta try it with something simpler, because I don't think your wife is gonna walk out from you with it. You never know, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But think of something that worries you or something like that, because it's always about the future. It's always about always about the future. And what we miss is the future that we didn't have. That's what we miss, is the future that we didn't have.
What about the companionship?
Yeah, I understand.
Agree. We miss the companionship, and that's the painful part.
Yes.
But you miss the companionship right now, and that's it. It's like you turn around and there's nobody to hug, and it's done. But then we go into the story of who am I going to hug for the rest of my life, and you know, who am I going to eat ice cream with, and what am I going to do with my kids?
Myself.
But it's always like that. And if we come back to a relationship, a loving relationship, the beauty of a loving relationship is we never owned anybody, we never had them. It's a free relationship, right? So that sense of possession, which causes the sense of loss, is all about the future. Because we possess the other person somehow, and we want them to love us for the rest of our life and tell us and commit to it. Because that makes something, we're attaching ourselves from fear that they're going to leave us, right? So I want you to love me for the rest of my life, and by the way, you complete me. Mm-hmm. You are my other half. But then when that person is not there, then we lose that. But that's not real, because we never really have anybody. And we assume that when somebody says to us, I love you for the rest of your life, and my life, then we assume that that's a true statement. But it can't be a true statement, because you never know what's going to happen the following day, right? You never know. That's why love changes. Anybody that has been in love once knows love changes. The way I love one person today is not the same way I love the person 2 days from now, a month from now, 2 years from now, or 20 years from now. It's not the same. So love is always changing. And falling into love is no different than falling out of love. It's no different. And it just happens, right? It just happens. We don't plan to fall in love, and we don't plan to fall out of love. So that loving relationship, we as humans, and we all fall into that, don't get me wrong, is part of the growth that we have, is that learning that I never had you, but I wake up in the morning and there you are, and that's a fucking miracle. See? That is a miracle. And the fact that you text me, that's a miracle. And the fact that you call me that night, that's a miracle. And all that stuff is just a miracle. But that person is free, and I am free, because nobody can change what I am or what I feel. I intend to love that person, but that doesn't mean that the day after tomorrow I don't. Does this make sense so far? So because we don't own anybody, but there's this sense of ownership and commitment, and it's this claw relationship that we have. The moment that person is not there, then there is a sense of loss. And by the way, whenever that happens, we've known that forever. We've known that for a while, but we didn't want to see it. People know the signs and symptoms of a relationship not going well, we just avoid seeing them. So it shouldn't be a surprise, but we all ignore them. Have you ever been in one of those?
It'll be better tomorrow.
It will be better tomorrow, and if we don't talk about it, it will just be
Will that
better.
change?
Yeah. Absolutely. So So a breakup or anything like that where the other person is not there, my love cannot be taken away. My love cannot be taken away. And it wasn't possessed by anybody because nobody can possess my love. So think about it from experience, not here, but from experience. Because the love that I feel for somebody cannot be taken away. Because it's just here, right? It can't be taken away. Are we in agreement on that? The love that somebody feels for me is theirs. Because I don't own it. I can't grasp it. I can't hold it. I can't own it. Right? I can't own it. We're in agreement? Makes sense? I can't own that. That's theirs. Therefore, that love that is there is independent. Does this make sense? It's independent. That somehow there's togetherness at different moments of the day or the week or the month, yet I have this love and this experience here, and the other person has that love and that experience here. Does this make sense? So, as we are together, what we normally do is we make plans. The first time you meet somebody that you like, the first thing that you think is, this is the right one. You know, maybe it will go. And when you start going out for a longer time, then you make longer plans. See? I was talking to somebody yesterday and she said something, it's like, immediately I start thinking about my last name, how it would sound with her last name, with his last name. It's like, you know, but that's, we all have, and it's not a women thing, we all make those castles. We all create already a future. It's part of what the mind does. It already creates a future because it wants everything to be predictable. And organized and controlled, and this is the path where we're going. So we already create that with the first, how are you, my name is Angela. See? That moment, if I like the person, it's like already creating it. And then every single time I talk to the person, then I just keep adding, you know. It started with the house, and now I'm adding the furniture, and, you know, next will be the china and all that stuff. So if we break up, what I'm losing is the story that I told myself about this person. Does this make sense? Yes, I may miss some of the fun times that we had, which, by the way, is a memory. I may miss whatever, you know, going out dancing or rolling and hugging or whatever. I may miss that stuff. But most of the people, most of what we miss is the future that never happened. It's all about that. It's the future that never occurred. And that happens with everything. With everything. It's the future that never occurred. Make sense? So, obviously, I don't want you to experience, I don't wish you to experience this. But at the same time, in the relationship that we are in at the moment when we start experiencing things, start experiencing what it is to actually free the other person instead of hold the other person, which is what we do. So that what we do is this manipulation of holding and holding. See? Both of us hold. And that's what we want to do. We want to hold them tight and don't let go, right? Because if you leave me, then, oh my God. So we hold on to that. And we cannot envision life without the other person, even if we met the person 2 weeks ago. So it's not, you know what I mean? It's like, that's the way the mind works. A teacher that I met a long time ago used to say that instead of saying I love you, we should say I free you. Because the moment I say I free you, then I'm not trying to hold you back, which means I'm not manipulating the relationship to keep you here. Because we all manipulate the relationship. We all think we're saying things or doing things to the other person, including in the fights. The stuff that we say out of love, but really we're doing it is because it's like we're going there, and in the most painful place where that conditioning is, we're going, hooking them and holding them right there. And we manipulate the relationships, you know? You know how many times I said to somebody, for example, in conversations, and this is all was subconscious at the time, so I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea that I was doing this until I started discovering, paying attention to the stuff that I was doing to manipulate the relationship. And I would say things like, I would always be there. And this person needed that commitment. So I would find myself saying things like, I'll always be here, whenever you need me, blah, 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 which I thought it was out of love. But then the more I paid attention to the reality of what was coming out of my mouth, I started to notice I was saying that just because I knew that was a way of keeping him here. And at the time, I didn't know about conditioning and all this stuff. This was not my work at the time. So I wasn't aware of this. I was starting kind of like waking up from the dream. And I started to notice these things. And it all started with the time I started to pay attention to saying things that were nice to people. You know, like nice shirt, and all I wanted was the person to move me up in the list, or you know, those things that we want people to do things for us. And everybody does this stuff because we want to be accepted, and we want to be liked, and we want to be right. So let me stop. This is kind of like walking into a social place, and you see somebody and you say something nice to them. And we think we're saying it because we're nice. I'm nice, so I said something nice. When the reality is I want to either be accepted or I want something. No different than a teenager. I'm sorry. I want to be accepted or I want something out of it. You know? Have you ever, and go back honestly and look into your memory bank, have you ever said anything to somebody that was nice, but you did it because that will get you something?
Is that wrong?
Right? We've all done something like that. You know, you're talking to the clerk and you say something nice, or the person is nice. Like you see them being a bitch to the person before you, and you say something nice because you're expected to be treated differently. You know, I'm not saying anything bigger than that, although some of us do stuff that is bigger than that. It doesn't really matter. There's no judgment on that. But that's what we do as humans. See? So when we come to a relationship, that's exactly how we act. Subconsciously, I know exactly how to hurt the other person. Don't tell me that you're not in a relationship where you know how to hurt the other person. We all do it. No? Well, that's the part that we're conscious. In the subconscious, there's even a bigger, it's like an iceberg, you know, there's even a bigger sense of knowing of how to hold and manipulate the other person, and that's what we do. So the moment we start paying attention to that manipulation that we have with the significant other, then we start learning how we do it. We do it with friends, we do it with co-workers, we do it everywhere, but particularly with the person that we kind of like care for, because we want them around. Just pay attention to the manipulations, you know. I was shocked when I started to see some of the things that I would do or say, that the reason why I was saying them was because I knew it would keep that person there for me. That's it. He'll do that. It's all about the manipulation. It's all about the fears that we have. Remember, we want to be cared for. We want to be loved. We want to be accepted. And therefore, the only fears that we have are of abandonment, betrayal, and ridicule. That's it. Those are the fears that we have. Because any of them will imply that we're not loved, cared for, and we're abandoned. And if we're abandoned, we die. So when we start with that, and again, don't believe me, But start exploring if any of those make sense in your day-to-day activities. And if you really, really, really pay attention to that noise in your head and the feelings that you have, you start recognizing them. Right there it is. It's the fear of abandonment. Right there it is. It's the one that is saying to that person, I love you, I'll love you forever, or whatever we say to that person to hold them down. Here, I gotcha. Or to the clerk at the supermarket or whatever it is. Those are the three things that can hurt us. And they're not real. They're all imagined, which is the best part. Is this continuous sense of fear of abandonment. But it's not real. But it's this little kid's sense of fear of abandonment that drives every single decision. It's like as if that fear is so subconscious, so unconscious to us that we don't even know we have it. And we do everything based on that fear. That fear drives our lives. It is as if we're running everywhere, thinking that a monster is running and chasing us. And we're running, and there's a monster chasing us, and I don't want to look, and I just keep running. But all I have to do is turn around. There's no monster. But if I don't look, then I'll keep running, thinking that there is a monster. Does this make sense? Because I'm not willing to look at the fear. But the moment I start paying attention to my thoughts and my feelings, then that's right there out in the open. That's it. It's right there out in the open. And then we have the choice. Then we have the choice of not manipulating. Then we have the choice of not suffering. And then life is just life. And the ups and the downs, the clouds and the sunny parts, they all feel the same way. They all do. They all feel the same way. With a different flavor. Because life actually becomes more enjoyable. Definitely more enjoyable. But there is no bad or good. There's just a cloud or the sun. Make sense? Make sense? Any questions? Don't save your questions.
What was the clue you were talking about in the beginning? To get out
Coming
of this?
back here. Is there anything lacking at this moment? Practice. Just try it. You're worried about something. You're worried about work. You're worried about something. Let's say you have a meeting and you have an important meeting. You're really worried about that. And then come back to this moment. Is there anything wrong in this moment? Is there anything missing at this moment? Is there anything here? Is there anything with me that is lacking? Is there anything that is missing? Is there anything wrong? And the answer is always no. The answer is always no. If the answer is yes, that's something in the future. I was talking to somebody the other day and I said, is there anything missing? And we were talking about lack. She was very worried about mine. And she said, yes, putting food on the table. And I said, are you eating right now? And she said, no. And I said, so is there food missing right now? And she said, no. And I said, okay, so there's nothing lacking. What else is lacking at this moment? And she couldn't figure something that at this moment was lacking. So even if it is dinner time, when you come back to really looking inside, is there anything lacking? Is there anything missing at this moment? The answer will always be no. Always. And that shifts. You know what I mean? Shifts our way of thinking. It's kind of like, remember the example of you look at a picture and it's two vases and then you look at the picture, no, it's one vase, and then you look at the picture again, it's two faces. So it changes your perception. Immediately changes the point from where you're looking at things. Because when we're worried, we're involved in this messy thinking process. Just think about worrying about something, the last thing that you're worried about. You know? you're immersed in these possibilities that can happen. It's not about what is happening right now. You're worried about all the shit that can happen, all the things that can go wrong, all the immense amount of possibilities. I can't figure out the way of solving this issue. This is all going on in my head. And I'm worried. I'm really worried about it. But if I for a second come back here and go, is there anything missing at this moment? Right now. Look inside. Is there anything within me that is missing? Is there anything that is wrong at this moment? The answer is always no. So it takes us out of this turmoil in our head and brings us here. And at that moment I can make the choice not to go there again. The thoughts will come back, but then I know that's not real. Right now I'm not missing anything, therefore that's not real. So I have the choice again. It's no different than where's my butt. Because when I'm lost in thought and I go, where's my butt? I'm here. And then I have the choice. The next time that thought flies over, because it will, then I know. Right now there is nothing missing with me. Nothing within me is missing. Nothing ever is missing. Nothing is ever missing. As you are sitting there, is there anything lacking? Right now, not tomorrow, right now. Is there anything right now that is lacking within you?
Well, yeah, there can be.
What?
Maybe you want to be able to do something better?
That's not right now. Are you lacking something right now? Just sense where you are. Are you lacking anything right now? Right now. Not tomorrow, not when you get home, right now. Are you lacking anything?
No.
There you go. The answer is always no.
Glass of
Answer is
wine.
always no. What?
Glass of wine.
Yeah.
Come on.
The answer is always no. Always, always no. Always no. But we have to come here, right now, at this moment. Because otherwise we start looking at the future. I should know better, I should know more, I should have a house, whatever it is, it's always in the future. Right now, is there anything missing? Not because I want you to stick to it, but I want you to have the choice of not going there. See? Because when we don't go into the worrying, then the next moment is whatever is happening in the next moment. Not the shit that is going on in our head.
What about thinking about things that make you feel good that aren't happening right now?
Same shit, that's not real. Well, thinking about them or feeling them?
Both.
Okay, so let me give you an example. Let's say that you are worrying about a job. You're worried about your job, and tomorrow you have a meeting and there are issues and whatever, you're worried about the job. The moment you come here and you realize that there's nothing wrong at this moment, then you have the choice of going there or feel how it feels to have things solved. Not solve them, not to attach yourself to how they are being solved, but solve them. But it's a feeling, it's not a thought. And it's just an instantaneous thing.
But you can create those feelings with thoughts.
You can create any feeling with thought.
Right.
Any feeling can be created with thought.
So is it bad to create good feelings with thought if it's about things that aren't right now?
It depends on what the thoughts are. Be more specific so I can give you something.
Just being excited to go on a vacation and thinking about what you're going to do there. Just looking forward.
It's not going to do anything to you as long as you don't attach yourself to the outcome.
Right.
It's all about the attachment, because if you're thinking about a vacation and you think about this wonderful time that you're going to have and you're attached to one view of it, and that's not the way it is, then what is going to happen?
It's going to suck.
You suffer, right? So it depends on the level of attachment to it. So again, it's not about the thoughts. It's for now, start with recognizing that thought, by the way, the thoughts are creating the feelings all the time. So whenever I'm worried, what's the feeling? Anxiety, stress, the stomach is hurting, right? That's being created. That's worrying. That's stress, worry. And then translates into physical stuff too. Emotional, physical, right? So if we pay attention to the thoughts, we're immersed into it. We're like taken for a ride by those thoughts. We're just lost in them.
But what if you just like activate the feeling and then just sit with that feeling? Good
Of
feeling.
the other one, depending on the attachment. So
Attached.
most people cannot switch between the two of them because we're used to just being in the dark side. I'm going to call it the dark side, right? So we're used to that. As long as we can come and recognize that nothing is really missing, and we start from that point, then everything is
Right, you
possible.
have to, because if you're not there and you're looking at positive things, then you're still feeling lack. If you're not
Precisely. So you can't. That's the thing. The ego cannot create. Our minds cannot create abundance from lack.
Right.
See. So let's say that I'm worried because I don't have money. I cannot come back and feel good when I'm coming from fear that I don't have enough. Right?
If you come back and realize that you're not missing anything,
If I come back and realize that there's never anything missing,
then I can.
then it's different.
Right.
But I cannot come back from fear, from the dark side. Let's call it the dark side for today. Not the dark side of the woo, but the dark side, right? I cannot come from the dark side, which I am here from fear, and pretend that there is abundance of money for me to pay the rent, because I still have the fear of lack.
No.
See? So I have to come from fear of lack to nothing is missing for me to be able to see abundance. See what I mean? But if I still believe in lack, I can never see abundance. Ever. Because abundance will be conditional to lack. There will only be money if I have a good job. There will only be money if I win the lottery. There will only be money if, right? Because it's conditioned, it's dependent on lack. So moving from one to the other one is hard when we're not fully aware of all our thoughts and our feelings. It's very simple, actually. But before we're aware of our thoughts and we're awakened enough, it's a little bit hard to do. So what we have to do is we have to come here and recognize, is there anything missing? No. There's nothing lacking. But we've been taught, consciously and subconsciously, that there is lack of something, that something is always missing. Love, whatever. There's always something missing. Love, money, you name it. So we have to come back to at least recognize that at this moment, there's nothing missing. Nothing. And then you start recognizing all the thoughts that you have around everything being okay. Let's take money, and I don't want to make this about money because that's what The Secret did, and that's not it. So, but let's say that I need to pay the rent. The way I was brought up, the only way to get money is from working hard. Not working hard. So in my definition of success, money success is working hard. So if a job is easy, for me, that's not going to pay. See what I mean? And it's all beliefs that we have from the way we were brought up and from our environment and for all these assumptions that we have from children. Same thing with love. You know? How many times have you heard love has to hurt, love is painful, love burns, love, you name it. And that's bullshit. Because what burns is the stories that we tell about it. Yet that's the way we grow up. We grow up to believe that love has to be in some way painful. And it's hard. And that's bullshit. But that's the way we were raised to be. And no judgment on our parents whatsoever. Because they were raised in their own way. And their parents were raised in their own way. It's part of the culture. And by the way, that's what I taught my kids. See? Does this make sense? So it's all about recognizing the noise in our heads, that stuff that is constantly talking to us. And every single thing that we do translate back into my conditioning. That's it. Everything trickles back into my conditioning, my beliefs. Those beliefs that are engraved in me. Like there's love hurts. Love is gonna hurt if that's what I believe. Because I'm gonna get into fucking relationships where love is gonna hurt. People cannot be trusted. Well, I'm gonna get into every single friendship where people are going to be betraying me because that's exactly what I'm looking for. That's my definition of friendship. Does this make sense? Don't believe me. Do not believe me. Try it. Do it for 2 days. Every single time that something doesn't feel good, that you feel sadness, pissed offness, unsettled, whatever it is, even if it's subtle, come back. Is there anything missing at this moment? Is there anything lacking? Am I lacking love? Am I lacking something at this moment? And the answer is no. And then if you have the willingness, then find what was it that you were believing that made you feel like shit. Because there's always something that you were believing that made you feel like shit. So don't miss those. Those are the connections that we need to make today. Because as children, our connections were all misunderstandings. And that's the way we grow up to be. Misunderstandings and generalizations, like love hurts, But if I pay attention to the feeling within me, and I go, I'm not lacking that right now. Nothing is lacking. And then I go thinking, what was I thinking before? What did I see? What did I think? What did I remember that actually made me feel like that? And if we are vigilant enough, we find it. Right there it is. And then the next time that the same connection is made, this type of thinking to this type of feeling, and I recognize it, it becomes so easy that when either the thought or the feeling arises, it's like start like waking up, you immediately go, there it is, noise, and it doesn't start. Make sense? You were going to ask.
So, today I made a big purchase. I bought something pretty expensive. And it just started out with me looking at something. I was just gonna look, and I saw a great deal, and it was still a lot of money. And all day after I clicked that button on Amazon, I'm just like, why am I doing this? You know what? I was just gonna look, and here I am, and I'm upset that I spent that much money. Money's not lacking in my life right now. It's not, but the irresponsible, I guess, quick, rational decision that I made to spend that money, I really didn't research anything else. I saw, those look good, okay, and there's still a lot of money. Bought a pair of binoculars today for $400, and I'm upset about it. It's been bothering me all day since that.
Tell me why you are upset.
Because it was irresponsible,
Okay. You're irresponsible with money. Okay, keep going. Deeper. Why is it irresponsible?
I'm thinking now that my father or my parents would not be happy with that decision.
You got it. Why? You got it. Why?
Because,
and again, it could be your aunt. It doesn't matter who it is. It's not about your parents.
Because that's the way I was brought up to. Not,
what's the belief underneath?
That I'm not gonna have. Well, I won't.
That you shouldn't spend money on.
Yeah, I shouldn't spend money recklessly.
Okay.
Or I shouldn't.
Spend money on what you want. If you spend money on that, then you might not have enough money for other things.
Sure.
Isn't that around there?
Yeah.
Is that a true statement?
It can be.
Is that a true statement?
Wait, say again what?
That if you spend money on the binoculars, you shouldn't be wasting that money on that because you might need it for something else.
Yes.
That's the feeling, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is that a true statement?
Yeah, I mean it could be.
Is it, no.
Right.
True cannot be truth one day and not the other one. Is that a true statement? It's a possibility, but it's not a true statement.
Mhm.
So recognize that belief. It's a belief.
Okay. So I'll return tomorrow.
So, so it may happen or
What?
not, Dave. It may
Answer.
happen or not, right?
What,
It may
returning?
happen. No. It may happen that you may need the money for something else,
Yes.
but it may not.
Yes. It might not.
But the suffering, what is not allowing you to enjoy what you did,
Yeah.
is the fact that you should not have spent that money on that, because what if you need it for something else
Yes.
because there is not enough?
Yes. Lack.
Yes.
But
But
right
there's
now,
nothing
there's-
like in right now.
No, nothing's like this.
So,
Things are great. Sure.
mhm. So don't let those beliefs come, because they're not there all the time, right? Those thoughts just come once in a while.
Yeah.
So you're thinking about the binoculars, and then the comes the dark side comes and starts. Shit, I should not have done that. Oh, shit.
But I love when my life is good and I'm not spending money and I'm feeling responsible and I'm saving money, and that's a good feeling for me. You know.
Oh my God, we gotta work on your lack and your beliefs, because that's not the joy of life. Life is not about just saving and not spending, but that's the way. That's what you believe, and therefore that's so engraved into you that you bought binoculars that you really want for
Yeah.
$400,
Yeah.
and you're suffering that you bought them and that was a mistake.
Mhm.
See, and it's all based on beliefs, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't have the money, you wouldn't buy them.
Yeah. Well, my father, if I knew, like my father, I know this really, my father would be so pissed if he knows that I bought these, you know.
Of course.
You know, because I watch him with my sisters. My sisters have both been, you know, lots of money issues with my sisters, and I just can yell at them, and he's got to help them get out of debt because they've got themselves in so much credit card debt.
It is part of the beliefs,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
It is. My parents suffer every single time I spend money on them. If I spend money on me, they don't care. But if I give them 1 cent to spend on them, it's like no, you know. It's just their beliefs,
Mhm.
you know, and their belief is that their daughter should not be paying for their bills.
Mhm.
Do I give a shit? No,
Mhm.
you know. But it's all about our beliefs.
Mhm.
So recognize it.
Mhm.
And when the thought comes back, which it will, over and over and over, even when you have the binoculars in front of you, when the thought comes back, just check it out.
Mhm.
Is it real? Is it real that I should not have purchased this? You know?
Mhm.
So don't let that grab you and take you for a ride, because when you don't recognize that thought as not real, not true, it's not 100% true, you really don't know if you're gonna need that $400 later on. If you don't recognize that thought as true, then the thought moves away,
Mhm.
because you're not grabbing the thought. But if you don't recognize it as not true, and you give it credit, then what happens? Then the next one comes, and the next
Then I'll
one
buy
comes,
something
and the
else
next one
next
comes.
time.
No, that's not what is going to happen.
Based
Based on what you said,
Give that credit then.
no, based on what you said, is not
You
going to
just know
happen,
where-
because what you're going to do is every single time you get those thoughts, you're going to suffer
Mhm.
from buying those
Yeah.
binoculars.
Yeah.
That's what you do. It doesn't feel good. Here you bought a pair of binoculars that you really like, and you're not even enjoying them, and they're not even here yet. Does this make sense? And it's all in our thoughts. It's all in our fucking thoughts. Here comes a thought that says, you should not have bought that, you know? It's like you see a cake and you get a piece of cake and you're looking at the cake and your mind is going, come on, just one. And you're like, I shouldn't. And then you look at it and your mind is going, come on, just a little bit. And you eat the whole fucking piece of cake, right? And then what's the next thing that your mind will say? You should have not eaten that.
What's wrong with you?
You should have not eaten that. You're going to get fat. Now you have to go to the gym. And then the following morning, which is not really the cake, is, you know, the normal fluctuation of the weight. You get on the scale and you're 2 pounds higher and you go, holy shit, I should not have eaten the cake. See what I mean?
I have a question.
Yes.
What if your conditioning is, for example, I'll give you my example. I'm not good enough. I can't maintain a relationship. It's not going to work. And you hear yourself thinking those thoughts, and you know the thoughts aren't real, but you also see, based on the past, that those things did come true, so you think it is true. So how do you know whether or not it's true if you think
Okay,
it's
a
true?
conditioning is not, I cannot sustain a relationship. That's not conditioning. What's the conditioning? What's your conditioning?
I don't know.
I need someone.
What?
Wait. What's the fear behind it?
I guess abandonment?
Okay. So the fear is that nobody cares about me, nobody's going to take care of me, or they're going to let me down. Which one is it? Go back inside. Go back to that feeling. The feeling of...
No, it's definitely the first one. Nobody cares about me.
Okay. So it's not that you cannot sustain a relationship, it's that every single relationship that you've gotten into has been chosen specifically because that person is going to abandon you, or there is a risk of abandonment. That's what you've chosen. You have chosen every single one of those guys with that picture in mind. So even though consciously you date them, you meet them somewhere, and you're talking to them, your mind will only see the pieces about them that your mind wants to see. Nice person, handsome, responsible, has a job, nice to me, he said the right words. When the iceberg underneath has the big list and is the ones that is going, left his previous wife, cannot hold a job for more than 2 years, and you start seeing patterns, or you start seeing that that person might not be available, and you're talking to them and you only see the pieces that you want to see. Has that ever happened to you, that you only see certain things that you want to see? So that's what is happening. So every single relationship until today that you have chosen has been with that pattern. That has been the list of requirements that you have for a relationship, is that that person will actually either leave me or be at a very high risk of leaving me, because that's what I'm familiar with. I am familiar with that. That's what I crave. That's what I know. That's what I crave. That is what I'm familiar with. That being said, I hate it. I don't want it. I suffer and I cry. But that's where I keep going.
But you can change it.
Absolutely. Because the moment you start talking to the next person and you get into a relationship and you just not only pay attention to those things that are on the top, but you start seeing the ones that are hidden, even if it is not on the first date, but in the first 2 months, you know it. You already know it. Then at that moment, you have the choice of saying, you know what? This is not it. And you change it. No different than being lost in thought, which is nothing but an illusion. See, here is a relationship that is an illusion, is chosen by my condition. And then I come here and I go, is this the real one? Am I seeing the whole picture? Seeing it and noticing the whole picture, because we don't want to see it. And the moment I go, no, then it's my choice not to continue. And that's not easy, because we've been gravitating to those relationships for so long that, boy, it's so hard to leave that relationship. We'll wait until they abandon us, don't they? Instead of us saying, you know what, it's not working, even though we've known them for a while, right? We've known for a while. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You've known for a while that person is not the person you want to be with. Yet you wait until they abandon somehow. Make sense? So it's all about that choice. It's that split second of choice, of having the balls not to go there. That's
Do you
it.
have those?
Balls?
Do you
Like-
meet balls? Do you meet these people for you to see?
What do you mean?
So when we say everyone we come in contact with is for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So are we having these relationships to see?
That's
The
a question like
underlying-
the chicken or the egg, that, right? But every single opportunity that you have Every single relationship that you have is an opportunity to see the truth, right? It is up to me to continue to go like this through the road, you know, not knowing that there is grass on the other side and thinking that there's only, you know, rocks, and keep going like this. But if I'm willing to see, then that changes everything. But willingness to see is one, and then the willingness to change is the other one. Is that willingness to take a stance and say no, and that's not easy. It is not easy. Now, when you look at your past, you will recognize that fear of abandonment in every single one of your relationships, right? Every single one. So it's not that that's a true statement, it's that that's what you created. See? That's what you created subconsciously. I put in, I think I put in Facebook something about something from Carl Jung, that until our subconscious become conscious, it will continue to run our lives and make us suffer, and that's the way it is. See, our subconscious drives our lives. It's been creating every single fucking relationship that I had before. Each one of them. And they were all the same thing. The same thing. Different guy, different whatever, same thing. Until there's a moment when there's a choice. That's it. No more.
So once you get to the realization, right? For me, something like that recently happened, where I could say this person isn't available to me, but it was like a physical reaction for me.
Explain physical reaction.
Like not immediately not interested. I didn't want to waste any more of my time.
Yes.
Because like this person was going to, honest to God, buy a castle in Pennsylvania, move to Pennsylvania, which is not where I want to be.
Yeah.
So it was kind of,
not available.
Not available. So not entering anymore into the relationship, because where is it going to go? It's not going to go. I mean, it's in what I want in the present.
Didn't want it.
No.
Good.
Done.
That's it. So remember, we are always creating all this crap, right? So here I am, like, I meet the person who I see only the top layer, right? The layer that I want to see. When the other layer, the real layer, right, about the abandonment and betrayal or unavailability or whatever it is there. And I feel all this love, but what I'm loving is not the person. What I'm loving is that this person is going to give me exactly what I need, which is the suffering that I'm looking for. This is what I'm familiar with. This is my programming. Therefore, subconsciously, that's what I'm programming. That's where I'm going. You know? It's like a car that is always pulling to the right. It doesn't matter. It's always pulling to the right. That's where I'm going. I'm going there. Until I allow all these things to come to light. They're all there. These signs are all there. Always there. But I choose to ignore them. And the deeper the conditioning is, the harder it is to see them. The harder it is to see them. And it's all about recognition and having the balls not to go there. That's it. I'm not going there this time. And then you meet the next person and you look and it's like, oh, same shit. Go on. You know, it's like public transportation. I'm going to Bhutan and I stand at the bus stop. And first bus comes and I get on the bus. I miss the fact that on the sign said New York, right? And I get on the bus and I'm happy until I realize, shit, we're not going to the same place. So I get off the bus and wait for the one that is going to Bhutan. And then I get on one that looks really nice, even though it says Parsipani. Maybe I'll try it, and maybe I'll change the Parsipani bus and it will go to Bhutan. Sounds familiar? And then you get on the bus and the bus is not going there, and then you have to have the balls to get off. I don't know how am I going to get to Bhutan. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I don't know where I am, but I'll get off and I'll find the bus that goes to Bhutan. Make sense?
It makes complete sense, and I got all that you said in getting to that point, but I think I'm just standing there waiting for a bus that's never gonna come.
That's not true. That is not a true statement.
But that's what I think is the
Yeah.
truth.
Is that thought true?
I think it is.
But
So
how do you know? How do you really know that there is not gonna come? That it's not gonna come.
I don't.
You don't know. So it's not a true statement. So don't believe it. So every single time, by the way, that is part of the story. There's nobody that can love me. Nobody will love me the way I want to be loved. That's part of the fucking story. That's part of the story. Makes sense? That's part of the story. Is the story. Here we go. Is that a true statement? No. I don't know. But I cannot assume that it's not. See what I mean? Don't believe that shit. It's all a thought. It's all a thought, and it's not a true statement. Make sense? Make sense? Any other questions? We have been educated and not consciously. It's not that somebody sat us down and said everything that your mind says is true. But we've been educated to believe that everything that we think is true. As if we knew. It's actually kind of like arrogance, like one of my teachers used to say. It's like, yep, I know better than the world. And it's not. And we don't question our thoughts. I should not have done that. I'm like, how the hell do I know? You know? It's all about questioning our thoughts. Because the moment we recognize that's not true, that's not a true statement, I should not have spent that money. How do I know that I'm not going to have it? Or how do I know that love is not going to be there? Or how do I know that the person is not going to love me? Or whatever it is. I don't know. The answer is really, is always, I don't know. Nobody can predict the future and be 100% sure that that's the way it's going to happen. Nobody. It's a prediction. It's an assumption of something that can happen. But our mind likes to have things controlled and predictable as if we knew that they were going to happen like that. But the truth is we do not know. We have no fucking clue.
So a question. So this is going to sound really bizarre.
Nothing is bizarre.
Nothing is bizarre? Okay. Are you making fun of the way I talk? Did you
Yes.
say something?
No,
Yes.
I don't know where I care.
But, are we conditioned, like, if to, like, what if you were brought up in a household, like, that would make you suffer? So, like, you want to make others, like, if you're in pain or whatever, and you make someone, like, suffer.
Give me concretes. It's a very difficult to answer a question without knowing exactly what we're talking about.
I guess it's kind of like, it's hard to explain. But if you're feeling pain, you want another person to feel pain or to suffer, and you don't know where that comes from. Like, if you're saying that certain things are conditioned, like we're conditioned to do certain things.
Usually we don't do it that way. Because what we're trying is not about the other person, it's always about us. So we're trying to protect ourselves somehow. That the other person in that suffering, that's the way it is. But we're always trying to protect ourselves. See? It's always about protection. This is all it's a game of survival. You know? So as I am protecting myself, pretending to protect myself, I may hurt others. Does that make sense? More than the intentionally wanting to hurt somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So even the intentionally wanting to hurt somebody is in some way a level of protection. It's a level of fear.
But that's learned behavior.
Everything
Yes.
is learned behavior. You have to assume that as of today, every single thing that you do is a learned behavior. You know, we go to funerals and cry and feel sad because that's what we learned that should be happening in a funeral. God forbid somebody tells a joke. I think funerals are probably one of the moments in which people say the stupidest things that are funny as hell. Have you paid attention to that? But that's not what we are supposed to, right? Because we've been told that. And then the first time that you go to a funeral and you don't know what the hell you're feeling and you feel that something is wrong with me because I'm not feeling anything, is because you're starting to recognize that that was a learned behavior. And then the next time, then you just act on whatever feels, not whatever you've been told to feel. Everything is a learned behavior, everything. But we don't question them. We do not question them, you know? And we started late, you're starting young. You know what I mean? Like, you have a zillion years ahead of us. It took me so long to start questioning my own beliefs and my own assumptions and all this crap. You know? It took me years. And years of unhappiness. Great story. Successful, married, 2 kids, cars, you name it. Great story. Fucking unhappy. You know? Taken by a ride by my thoughts and my feelings. And it took me a long time to recognize that. And you guys are moving towards that. And you have such a great head start, you know? But some of the teachers in Buddhism say this is wake up before you die so you can really live. This is what it is waking up of that suffering, that stuff that is making us suffer so we can actually live. I live life now. And trust me, I live it fully. But a few years ago, I thought I did. And I didn't, really, you know. Life was just struggles and sufferings and worryings and all that crap.